Galovina guia dolosana angito talita kini ana barong ng Bula FM at Golden Point Resort basendo nambando ana here binaka.
Bula binaka na adang kote vita utunggoy 90 ando talita wale barong ng Bula FM nambando ana set.
Nadang ko makilesi berkeraki NSB ng Bula FM nambando ana set.
Elong ratu kitchen ko tabo ando talita na barong ng Bula FM nambando ana set ngo nusu.
Bula FM number 2 ana set.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. Tonight, cases of malnutrition among infants reported on Coro Island. Cabinet extends state of natural disaster period for a month. And Finance Minister Aya Sayed Qayyum says climate change is to blame for TC Winston. The state of natural disaster has been extended for another month as of today. Permanent Secretary for Natural Disaster Management, Meleti Bainimarama, has confirmed that the extension is for a 30-day period. Shireen Shivan reports.
Meleti Bainimarama says the decision to extend the state of natural disaster has been endorsed by the Cabinet. With the extension, DISMEC will now be able to continue the supply of relief items to affected communities.
This includes areas where basic services and facilities are limited, including water, housing, electricity, etc.
The extension period will also allow health authorities to make provisions against any possible disease outbreaks, especially in severely affected areas. It will also allow disaster management officials to fully utilize available foreign services and expertise and recovery support.
This extension allows disaster officials to coordinate closely with disciplined forces to ensure the peace and security of all Fijians.
The state of natural disaster declaration is now in effect until April 19th. Shireen Shivan, FBC News.
There is cases of malnutrition on the island of Coro a month after tropical cyclone Winston ravaged the island. 8 villages have been affected so far, with dozens of people in need of medical attention. Ellen Stoltz was in Coro and files this report.
50% of the people living on the island have been confirmed to be malnourished. This was relayed to FBC News by DISMAC coordinator on the Coro Island, George Satakala, who says a dietitian on the island has visited the villages and found that infants are the most affected.
These infants have been fed with the wrong diet. That's the first reason she gave. And next is a wrong timing of feeding. Some of them gets their breakfast at 9, lunch about 2 o'clock, and then in the evening by 8 they fell asleep. So they missed out some meals.
Villagers have been living off government ration for the last month, and seedlings have now been planted. However, they won't mature for another few months.
Most of the villages that were affected on the island of Coro were provided with tents, like the one you can see behind me, provided by various agencies such as UNICEF or the Australian Defence Force.
These temporary tents have proved a timely relief for nursing mothers.
We have managed to supply them tents as the recommendation from the dietitian to help the mothers feed their babies in the tent. So we have supplied to the 8 villages as from yesterday.
A report of the outbreak will be sent to the Health Ministry today, asking for tablets to supplement the lack of nutrients needed by people on the island. Ellen Stoltz, FBC News.
More than 160 men and women from the Australian Defence Force completed their mission on Coro Island yesterday. After 15 days repairing schools, clearing debris and helping the people get back on their feet, the HMAS Canberra has left the Lomaiviti group for Suva.
Government officials were taken over by helicopter to see the progress that the Australians have made on Coro Island. Leading the men on the ground in Coro is Lieutenant Colonel James Dugdale, who says the Fijian government can handle the situation going forward, stressing the need to pay special attention to sanitation on the island.
As more and more people return to the communities, because after Cyclone Winston, a lot of people left Coro and returned to Suva. They're now returning, which puts greater strain on the resources that are here now. Sanitation and water are always an issue after disasters like this.
Chief Executive Officer of Water Authority of Fiji, Opatai Ravai, says they have not been able to do piping all the way to houses, but have provided taps in strategic locations for people to collect water.
There's some contamination issues as well. A lot of sources have been contaminated through tidal waves and also damage to the pipes. So, the second phase now is trying to build more permanent structures.
Another issue authorities will have to deal with is the relocation of villages.
Behind me is the village of Kande on the island of Coro, one of the many villages that were affected, located along the coast. It is villages like these that will have to be relocated inland because their village has been completely destroyed.
Travelling through several villages on Coro, it was clear that rehabilitation is well underway and people have started to pick up the pieces. Others are now fishing for food, a sign that things are slowly returning to normal. 3 evacuation centres remain open on the island, while repairs to schools, teachers' quarters and homes are mostly complete. Ellen Stalls, FBC News.
Finance Minister Ayaz Sayed Qayyum has told an international conference that climate change is partly to blame of the intensity of tropical cyclone Winston. Sayed Qayyum was at a conference in India organized by the International Monetary Fund.
Ayaz Sayed Qayyum spoke on behalf of Fiji at the conference called Advancing Asia, Investing for the Future. Discussions centered on climate change and economic resilience.
It's unheard of. In fact, just a few months before that, we had a 1 year worth of drought. So we went from one extreme to the other. I think resilience, of course, is critical. You need resilience to survive.
Sayed Qayyum drove home the point that adaptation is key for Fiji and the Pacific, with a population of 10 million people. He also highlighted, however, that investment is slow to come our way, especially when it relates to climate change resilience.
Our ability to have, for example, even engage in carbon trading, etc., within the country or carbon emissions is very, very limited. So resilience, I think, is very important, in particular in terms of adaptation of how you build back infrastructure. So one of the challenges that we have as a country, where you have the northern west part of the country where all the electricity lines went down, because all overhead. So when you build back, do you actually build underground cabling? And that's obviously going to be very expensive.
The minister also pointed out that Fiji is having problems in accessing loans from the Asian Development Bank, the World Bank, and even the International Monetary Funds to carry out climate change mitigation. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
You can watch the full panel discussion from the IMF conference in India on our documentary segment next Saturday. Still to come on FBC News, children across Fiji celebrate Palm Sunday.
Yandra! I love listening to Gold FM at Golden Point Resort. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Hola, my name is General from Recreative Village. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic.
I'm Moses from Value. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Marida Manako. I'm from Kandavu. I like listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Tilipa from Tavor Town. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome back here with FPC News. Minister for Women Rosie Akbar says violence against women and children is increasing day by day. Speaking during the International Women's Day celebration at Tilak High School in Lautoka yesterday, Akbar says the vulnerable in society are still being abused despite her ministry's best efforts.
Minister Rosie Akbar says it's disheartening to hear of violence against women and girls. She says it leads to questions on where her ministry has gone wrong. Is the awareness carried working, or are people just not bothered to help create a better society?
Why does it continue to happen? Given the fact that we have intensive awareness programs, we are trying to target people at family levels, yet we see that violence continues to increase.
Talking about a recent case in Deumba where a young girl was found dead on a beach, Akbar says one should consider the impact on parents and the family as a whole.
It's very painful. I mean, those families that go through losing their child, or those families that have their children that have been subjected to domestic violence or sexual harassment or rape, they only know the pain. We can only say, unless and until we go through it, we will not understand the pain. And we don't want any child to go through that traumatic experience. We do not want any parent to go through that.
Minister Akbar says by supporting women in societal setup and giving them equal opportunities such as education, healthcare and livelihood, the whole community benefits, and this is what she expects. She says to create a better society, everyone should rise and say no to violence, rape and sexual harassment. Sharin Shivan, FBC News.
Christians around Fiji celebrated Palm Sunday today. Reverend Jeremiah Wainganambete of Wesley City Mission Church says Palm Sunday is a feast to commemorate Jesus' entry into Jerusalem. Seniani Boila has more.
Most children describe Palm Sunday as a day to eat good food, while some shade the deeper meaning behind celebrations.
To me, Palm Sunday means that Jesus loves us. He loves all the children of Fiji.
Jesus entered Jerusalem, children waving their palm leaves because they're happy. Jesus goes on a donkey to Jerusalem, and I believe that he loves all the children.
Sunday means when Jesus had to come into Jerusalem, all the people had to shout and cheer for him, and they all raised their palm leaves.
Members of the Wesley City Mission from around Fiji celebrated Palm Sunday with the theme Illuminating Children to Impact the World with Their Light. It also held a march from Flea Market to Schooner Park in Suva. Reverend Wainganambete says children must know.
So the whole program is set forth in bringing them out of the church to recognize that they are part of the world, and we have faith that they can lift our way of life into a better state than what we are presently experiencing at the moment.
In many Christian denominations, worship services on Palm Sunday include a procession carrying palms representing the palm branches the crowd scattered in front of Jesus as he rode into Jerusalem. Sunday also prepares all Christians for Easter next weekend. Sainiani Boila, FBC News.
Families in the province of Bua who were affected by TC Winston are today enjoying hearty meals of seafood on Palm Sunday. Fishermen from Maduata gifted them with seafood as their contribution towards relief efforts. Eleanor Trangai has the story.
Over 1.5 tons of fish worth close to $10,000 was caught overnight by fishermen from the Maduata province, the least affected area during tropical cyclone Winston.
The women went and collected 18 bags of kaikoso. These are the big 45-kilogram bags. It was then brought to the village, cooked and packed. The young fishermen brought back a huge catch. This is what we from Drua and Drua can contribute.
All the fish caught by the fishermen in the various villages in Maduata and kaikoso collected by the women were then taken to the fisheries department. The fish are now being divided into 5, one for each of the 5 tikinas in the province of Bua that was severely affected by tropical cyclone Winston. From here, the fish will then be taken to the villages and be distributed to the affected families.
On the other side, it's the protein source. As for how many weeks they've been out of not eating fish or nam or kaikoso.
At Nawaindo village in Bua, the supply was received with gratitude. They have not had any seafood or vegetable since tropical cyclone Winston hit.
We are really grateful. We do not know how we can repay this kindness. We are really thankful for this.
There are plans for a similar initiative for the affected areas in the Kaunrobe. Eleanor Turangayu, FBC News.
Dr. Robin Mitchell is a well-renowned sports administrator in the local and international arena. And in our Successful Fijian segment tonight, we take a look at his life journey from a successful family medical practice to his current role as Oceanian National Olympic Committee President. Kelly Vadala has more on his success.
Successful Fijians is brought to you by the Fiji Development Bank, your partner in progress.
Many will recognize Dr. Robin Mitchell and his contribution to sports. Dr. Mitchell is the only International Olympic Committee member in the Oceania region, the highest privilege for a sports administrator, something which he credits to his humble upbringing in the old capital.
I was born in Levuka and spent most of my primary school in Levuka until my father, who was a doctor, was posted to Rotuma for 3 years. So we spent 3 years in the class 6 to Form 2 period, and then I came back again to Levuka to finish my secondary school education up to Form 5 level. At that time there was only Form 6 at Suva Grammar, where all of the students who got through the New Zealand secondary schools exams then went to the multiracial 6th and 7th form at grammar school.
He's been to 3 South Pacific Games dating back to 1963, and surprisingly it was not for his favorite sport of hockey.
I was in athletics in the 63 South Pacific Games. I was in the final trials for volleyball but didn't make it, so I just stayed with athletics. When I went to Australia I did both athletics and hockey, and also volleyball in my second stint.
The sports fanatic attained a medical degree from the University of Adelaide and worked as a government doctor for 1 year before opening up a private practice. This gave him more time to serve in various administration roles for local clubs.
As my role in sports administration grew, I think that the choice ultimately is you'd have to give up one or the other. And so eventually I spent more time on sports administration. And so the medicine basically in the last few years is almost minimal.
The doctor's passion grew after serving as the team physician for the national squad to the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, California, USA.
I think the family values is important. If you don't have the family support, it's really quite hard to have the luxury of doing what I'm doing in terms of administration and traveling.
Dr. Mitchell says he will continue to dedicate his time and energy to sports administration for as long as he can. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Successful Fijians was brought to you by the Fiji Development Bank, your partner in progress.
Coming up in sports after the break, Nemani Nandolo scores a double for Crusaders in Super Rugby. And Lepani Rayala cleared to play against Samoa A tomorrow. This and more coming up.
मैं हूँ रेहान खान कोरबो तालेबू के जैसे फेस्टिवल एग्रेट है कोरबो में उसी तरह मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है कोरबो में
एलिन लटुका में मिर्ची एफएम को लॉक कर दिया जाए मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट
हम नकाशी से साइमन है हमारा फेस्टिवल जैसे नंबर 1 है वैसे मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है
माय नेम इज दिनेश हम नैंडी में काम करता है स्लीपिंग जॉइंट जिपलाइन में और मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट आई लाइक इट
मिर्ची एफएम
Welcome to FPC Sports. Vodafone flying Fijian wing Nemani Nandolo scored twice for the Crusaders, thrashing the Southern Kings 57-24 last night. Nandolo dedicated the win to the people of Ra and Levuka, whom he visited last week. TFL Fiji Warriors winger Lepani Rayala has been cleared to play against Samoa A in the final of the World Rugby Pacific Challenge tomorrow. Rayala was red-carded in the match against Tonga A on Thursday for punching their opponent's number 8, Sione Lolohea. Lolohea was also carded in the match but has been cleared to play in the third-place playoff tomorrow. The Fijians take on Samoa A at 6 p.m. at the ANZ Stadium in Suva tomorrow, while Tonga A plays Junior Japan in the third-place playoff at 3:30 p.m. Natambua High School and Jasper Williams High School retained their titles at the 2016 Lautoka Athletics Zone yesterday. Jasper won the girls division with 44 gold, 25 silver and 9 bronze, while Natambua retained the boys title with 45 gold, 31 silver and 9 bronze. 19 records were broken over the two-day competition. Mariciana Vukidi of Jasper Williams High School was the outstanding female athlete after she won 3 gold medals and broke a record in the 4x400 meters relay. Natambua High School's Waisalen Dausoko was awarded the most outstanding male athlete after winning 3 gold medals. And the Coca-Cola Games will be held from the 28th to the 30th of next month at the ANZ Stadium. The Leicester City football side defeated Crystal Palace by 1-0 to go 8 points clear at the top of the English Premier League points table. In another match, Arsenal defeated Everton 2-0. And tomorrow morning, Newcastle United plays Sunderland at 1:20 a.m, while Manchester United takes on Manchester City at 3:50 a.m. And you can watch both matches live on FBC TV. A weak trough of low pressure with associated cloud and showers remains slow-moving over Fiji. It was a warm Sunday over most centres with temperatures hovering in the low 30s. The forecast for tomorrow, cloudy periods with some showers over most places, isolated heavy falls and thunderstorms are expected. As for Tuesday, expect occasional rain over the eastern half of Fiji, mainly fine weather should be elsewhere. Recapping the main stories, state of natural disaster period extended for a month. Cases of malnutrition among infants reported on Coro Island. And children across Fiji celebrate Palm Sunday. Now for these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. On to this week's poll question, and we are asking, are you happy with the current Fiji Sevens reps? To answer, visit our FBC website. You can also send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email, citizens@fbc.com.fj, or share it with us via our Facebook page, FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Amrit Priyadarshini. Good night.
I'm Sarah, I'm from Tafwa, and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Freddy, I'm from Gamiatong. I listen to Mario on the traffic jam every afternoon.
Hi, my name is Salah, I live in Asinu. Today FM rocks.
My name is Denasa and I'm from Lautoka, and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Ulamila, I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM, it rocks in Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.